How you doing today, folks? And welcome to Red Wolf EDC. Now, I previously released a video. Damn, I already can't talk. Now, I previously released a video that was all about the top 10 knives that made me happy under $500. Here's the follow-up. This is over $500. Now, before we get started, there's a few knives here that are honorable mentions. Whew, English is hard today, folks. Now, this is a knife that I actually really do like, but I've almost sold it a whole bunch of times, right? Because that love for the knife itself isn't really there. However, the story consistent of Lefty EDC calling this knife the Gorilla Arms Monster Hunter and us just laughing about it on camera makes me love this knife. So every time I'm going to sell it, I look at it, I think about it, and I'm like, man, do I really want to let this knife go? The ergonomics are okay. The action is decent. The fit and finish is all right. It's a good knife. I would not qualify it as great. But man, oh man, thinking about how hard I laughed at that shit, it brings me joy for reasons other than the knife itself. And for the same exact reason on the same exact video, also, this is the Robert Oldecker Blades El Chapo number 4. Yes, number 4. For the very same reason, we have the Old Dominion Knife Works Godzilla. Because again, Kevin's just a goofy ass fuck. Also, go subscribe to Lefty EDC. Great channel, great dude, just a genuinely humble and nice fucking person. Hashtag not a rat. I'm sorry again, brother. But this is the Old Dominion Knife Works Godzilla. As you can see, this is a big, badass, super fat, looks like a fucking overweight ass goldfish, sumo fish. But it is a comfortable knife. I like it. I've definitely used it. But the love affair has kind of wore off. Also, folks, this is a knife stick an hour here. Big ass knife. Most knives, my hands eat whole. This thing eats my hand whole. But this thing, hand hole, that sounds inappropriate. Anyways, is this the hand hole? But anyways, so this thing is an absolute beast of a knife. But I forgot what Lefty EDC called it, right? But he unboxed like 3 of my knives. 2 of them are these. And I was just dying. So whenever I want to sell this knife or that knife, I think about it, man. I was like, yeah, I can't do it. They're like probably like $1,200 a piece. But for that one memory, you know, it's worth, math is hard, $2,400, I guess. Great knives, great knives. No, good knives, good knives, great memories. Lefty EDC, brother, I love you. Now, what we have here are my creme de la creme for my personal weird-ass polarizing tastes. So some of these knives are universally loved. Some are just universally fucking hated, but I love them for my own personal reasons. So anyways, let's get going. First off is the most, and I cannot stress this enough, folks, the most comfortable knife with gloves on. I have to specify that, with gloves on, I have ever handled. This is the Medford Fat Daddy. This is actually a contoured one, very, very limited, hard to find. And this knife fits my fat hands well. There's a little bit of hot spots here and there. It's nothing perfect, but with gloves on, when it's cold, like now, and I want to wear gloves, dude, this thing fits perfectly. It cuts fantastically. I absolutely love this knife. I will probably never sell it because, again, for that one purpose, being, you know, cutting with gloves on, every time, man, every time I do that, I just start smiling like a giddy. I'm like, to be clear, I don't actually do that. That would be kind of funny and slightly psychotic. But this knife makes me happy. Medford Fat Daddy. Now, next up is a knife that I also kind of stalked somebody for. This is a Strider Knives .75 AR. To be clear, it's also made by Medford. So the same folks that made this also made this, and you can kind of see it in the DNA of the knife. Like, you know, it has kind of a Medford feel to it. But I bugged, and I mean, I absolutely bugged the holy hell out of my friend Chris for this knife, right? I was just being a straight bugaboo. I think we went back and forth for like a month straight, right? I mean, just blowing this dude up, us having a basic regular conversation. He was like, hey, what about that knife? Hey, what about that knife? Hey. What about that knife? Just being a dickhead. Let's be real here. But to be clear, Chris buys, sells, and trades things all the time. It's his business. So it's not like I'm just pressuring him to, you know, to give it to me or whatever because he's just a random ass guy. He sells these things. That's his whole job. But I love this knife. When I first got it in hand, I absolutely loved it. And I still do, man. I still really, really do. The fact that this is so high on the list or so low on the list or whatever, high, low, whatever. The fact that we're already here for this knife is just a testament to how much the other ones make me happy, because this knife I fucking love, and it just will never be sold unless I'm just doing incredibly fucking bad, because this thing brings me happiness, like a lot of it. And look at that, man. This knife, if it'll focus, I can never tell with this damn camera, is freaking beautiful. Like, love that, man. Love that. Obviously modified from the factory, we won't get that. But, you know, modified, I love it. Now, next up is another piece that I chased and I hoped and I prayed and I begged for a long ass time that I would be able to get a chance at this, because these came out. They sold out immediately, and I could not find another one for the longest fucking time. And I've been searching. And then one day I made a random ass post on Reddit being like, hey, does anybody have one of these things? And like 2 minutes later, somebody messaged me and was like, hey, I got one of those. I'm like, hey, are you a fucking scammer? He's like, hey, no, I'm not. Here's my profile. Here's who I am. Here's my massive ass vouch history. Here's the knife. Do you want it? And I was like, fuck yeah. So this is the Microtech Knives flat body Cypher, in particular with the incredible, the impeccable, the katana blade, man. I freaking love this knife. Fantastic action. If you can hear that rumble, my elbow is on the table, right? And when it goes back in with such force, my elbow is vibrating the table. Like, let's see. Can you hear it? I'm on camera right now, so if you can hear that, I have no idea. I might just made it like a jackass myself in my video. But hopefully you can hear that, because I'm listening to it right now and it sounds crazy. I will say though, this thing destroys your thumb. Like, I've actuated this knife like 5 times, and like I got a fat ass divot, losing some skin already. Very, very aggressive jimping, but like just feels good, feels powerful. It's big, and I love it, man. This knife makes me happy. And there are times and there are days when I'm just down in the dumps and I pick it up and go, and things just seem to get better. Now, next up is a knife that for some ungodly reason, Hinderer discontinued, and I don't understand why. This is coming from a guy that does not like flippers. It's just not my thing, never really has been. There's a few that I like, but I'm like really, really picky with them. But the Hinderer knives full track. I was like going to say the full size half track. That's not right. This is the Hinderer knives full track. I freaking love this knife, right? The actual drop down, it's okay. Nothing to write home about. The fuller is useless. Like, you can't open it. You can't spidey flick it. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. But the action itself for flipping out, fantastic. A little bit of drop shut action. But for me, once I held this knife in my hands, the ergonomics, dude, for me, fit like a true and genuine glove, right? And my hands are sticking off the end of this knife. So it's not perfect. But for whatever reason, just the actual lines of this for my hand, it's just perfect. There's no hot spots. I don't even feel like I'm holding a knife. I feel like I'm just holding nothing, honestly. There's just this weight that I can feel in my hands, but there's nothing really there. But obviously there is, which makes no fucking sense. So I'm going to just move on now. But the Hinderer knives, almost did it again. The Hinderer knives full track makes me happy. Badass design. I love the I can't talk. I love that the tool attached to the backspacer. That's fun. It's nifty. Very original. But just the ergonomics for this knife and just the looks too. I love the way this knife looks. Badass. Makes me happy. Now, next up is, man, I don't know. I had them all set aside, right? I had them all 1 through 10, nice and clean. But I'm looking at it, I was like, man, do I really want to go in that order? Fuck. Okay, this was number 2. But now this is going to be number, I think, 4, 5? I don't remember. But this is the Rockstead Knives Hego 2. As you can see, I use my shit. We had all sorts of tape residue, a little bits of scratches here and there. But still got a beautiful mirrored edge, mirrored blade. And this thing is an absolute laser beam. This holds its edge for a long, long time. I've been trying to dull this knife, and I have had to strop it twice. But as far as sharpening, nothing. Like a couple little runs on the stropper or whatever, and we're good to go again. And I have been beating on this knife. I love this knife. This is like, these retail for I don't remember, to be honest with you. Over $1,000 for sure. But very, very smooth. As far as like flipping out or whatever, that's not what this knife is for. Can you do it? Sure. But this beautiful hydraulic glassy smoothness is what you want with the Rockstead, and it just feels unlike anything else. Like Chris Reeve's knives eat your heart out. Like Chris Reeve, very smooth, very good knives for sure, but like a Rockstead, crazy, crazy, crazy. And I use mine. It gets damaged, it gets used, it gets thrown around. I don't care. It is a user, and I love it for that. Now, next up is to be clear, a heavily, and I mean a very heavily modified Hinderer. Now, this is modified by my buddy Steve Kyle to have this nice frag pattern on the presentation scale and the back. So this is a one of one. You will never find another one like that. And if you do, then they saw my design and bought off of it because I was the first, goddammit. But this is a nice sterile blade. So you can see there's no real markings on there. You can see a S35VN right here. Just in certain lights, it's like really, really hard to see. And other than that, there is no markings whatsoever. And this is also a non-flipper XM24, which are pretty damn rare. It's a big knife. If I hold it like this, it takes up all my hands. I go up like this. I have a little bit sticking off the end, but either way, man, the ergonomics are great. Everything is chamfered very, very nicely. The XM18 is a good knife. I very much like it. But modified like this by Mr. Steve Kyle himself, home freaking run. This knife makes me happy every time I carry it. And I'm begging somebody to pocket check me. Like, people who don't even care about knives. I'm like, hey. I'm like presenting my pocket like, you want to see? So far, unfortunately, it has not happened yet. But one day it will happen, and I'll pull this shit out, and I'll get ooh. Hopefully. I don't know. Maybe not. If I get pocket checked right, and I pull it out, someone's like, I might cry. But either way, I love this knife. It makes me happy. Happy. All right. Everything here is either a great knife or it's actually, I just made up my mind. This knife has a bad story to it, right? This is the DSK Deluxe. in a full frag pattern with a acid rain finish, right? And Dan Sullivan, DSK Knives, lied his ass off to me, said this finish is not achievable. He just played this massive ass game, and I honestly kind of hated this knife because of it. My buddy Ryan Palmer, goes by Antic7 on Instagram, reached out to me. He's like, hey man, do you mind if I borrow that knife so I can try to modify it like the way you wanted it originally? I think I can achieve that. Now, this took about a year. He literally anoded it, tried again, anoded it, tried again, anoded it, tried again, went over and over and over and over and over and over again so many times to get this perfect. But I really think he nailed it, and you can't see it on camera, right? It really just kills me. Like, I've taken pictures of this knife, you can't see it. On camera, you can't see it. It looks like kind of like almost like a muddy, like bronze thing to it, but it's not. There's like a million different little colors, little veins going throughout. You look at it in the sunlight, you watch everything just like pop like a fucking diamond. It's crazy. It's crazy. He also, this was originally a stone-washed blade, which I did not ask for, and he made it into this very nice satin with polished flats, which is just so much more beautiful, such a gorgeous blade shape. Damn fly. And he absolutely killed this. And I went from hating this knife to this knife now symbolizes love to me. This knife symbolizes the community. This knife symbolizes everything that I love about you guys, about making this channel, about the community as a whole. You know, even the bad eggs, I think there's good now in every single person. And it's crazy to me. So while there are knives that have better action and better ergonomics that bring me like happiness just based upon the knife itself, the only reason why this knife is not number one, because this is about knives that make me happy and not stories that make me happy. But this thing, I am proud to own it. I love it. Ryan, you were my brother for fucking life, and the community as a whole. Why I say I love you all is because you guys do things like this out of the kindness of your own heart to random ass strangers on the internet. This guy doesn't fucking know me from Adam, and he made me happy in a way almost nobody has. And I've had this knife for a while now, and I still literally almost daily pull it out of my chest, look at it, and I just fucking smile, because how could I not? That's just true kindness, generosity, and love in the purest form. And this thing, everything coming up is great. No, number one wins. But for me, this is the knife that makes me happiest of all by a mile. Now, we are on 18 minutes right now, so let's go ahead and run through these fast. This is the DWYER Knives LBL, I believe it is. They have a very weird naming convention, but really, really pretty, very cool knife. It's about between $1,200 and $1,300. Badass Tonto to it. This thing makes me happy. I wanted a DWYER for a long, long time, and once I actually got it in, it had some problems, to be clear. My buddy Dirk Wierning fixed it up mostly. Eventually sent this over to another buddy of mine who modified it just a little bit, and those problems are now completely gone. Ergonomically, this is a little bit too small for me, not by much at all, but just a little bit. I do have an LBN XL coming out eventually. I was supposed to be here 4 or 5 months ago, so I have no idea what's going on with that knife, but it'll come when it comes, I guess. But the DWYER LBL, I think BBNL, I don't remember. I really don't. Either way, badass knife. Forgot the name. Love the knife. Now, next is my favorite knife in my collection by far. This is I should open it on camera. This is the Demco Knives 8015 Custom DLC wash 20 CV blade, micarta scales, titanium scorpion lock, full custom, hand ground, just absolutely beautiful. I have made videos spine whacking this knife, grinding the edge. I threw this knife through a fucking window before on videos. Was bouncing it off my fucking ceiling. This thing is durable like nothing else. I love this knife. Similar to the Rockstead, I've beaten the absolute hell out of it. It's held up perfectly. It wants more. It needs more, and it's going to get more. I've had to sharpen this knife twice because it just gets dull, because I'm literally like grinding on wood and everything else. But the heat treat was fantastic. It held its edge for a long, long time, man. I had to really just beat the hell out of it to get any type of rolling or chipping or anything. And I just love it. I don't know why I love it so much, but I do. And this thing has stood the test of time for years. I'm sure it will for a lot longer. I love this knife. And folks, it is durable. Ow. That shit bounced off the chair and slapped me in the ear. Son of a bitch. Durable. There we go. That literally opened and stuck into my floor. Oh, shit. Hey, just imagine, right? If I threw it open, hit the chair, opened up, and went, yap, and I just straight accosted myself. Jesus, man. Oh. All right. Next up is one of those knives that almost everybody knows about in the community. And the hype is so real for this knife. It's the Kony Knives Arius. To be clear, ergonomically, this is not really for me, but the action is just absolutely ridiculous. You don't need to do anything with it. It'll roll down. It'll follow you. If you're brave enough, right, to hold your thumb here and then to move it real fast, which I can't do, it'll just rock it down. You can middle finger flick it. You can thumb flick it. You can roll it out. It is just an absolutely great knife. Bill Kony, young man, great man. This is a fantastic knife that I wanted so bad not to like, but I kind of couldn't help myself. On the other hand, the Mini Goblin, I fucking hate that knife. But the Arius to me is an absolute home run, and this thing makes me freaking happy. How I got this knife, kind of a bad story, but despite all of that, I love it. It ain't going nowhere for a while. Now, last but not least is a full custom made for me, complete one-off. This is the full-size Yakuza by Seraphim Knives with this absolutely beautiful Mokutai pocket clip. Nice, long, very cool. We also have a Mokume backspacer. This is actual 24 karat gold in the carbon fiber. Why? I don't know, but the fact that it's there is cool. It is a front flipper. Ergonomically, it is freaking perfect. There's no hot spots. There's no cold spots. There's just that perfect Goldilocks warmth. That came off weird, but love it. Absolutely beautiful knife. I love the blade, love the grinds. Drops down like nothing else. And I am bad with front flippers, but even I can do this one because it's just made and designed so freaking well. I can't do that though, to be clear. The people do this, what up? Not happening. But most folks can, I just can't. And if you can definitely do it with this knife. That makes no sense at all. But the Seraphim Knives full-size Yakuza is a knife that I've had for quite some time. And I use it, I love it, and it's definitely going nowhere. And this brings me happiness because just the work that went into this, just the sheer artistry of it all, I just look at, and to this day, I marvel. On camera, it does it no justice. Pictures, no justice. You can look at the actual carbon fiber. There's not one literal void. You can see the actual gold in there, which I'm not a huge fan of fucking gold, even though this is also gold right here. But just the fact that they did that, that's crazy. That's some true and blue pimp shit. The actual clip, just the artistry of this knife blows me away. And I absolutely love this knife. This is my gents carry. I've definitely used it. I've not hard used it, full disclosure, but I love it. I've had it for a long time. I'll have it for a lot longer. This thing blows me away in crazy, crazy ways. And God damn, it makes me happy. So comment below, folks. What are the 10 knives that make you happy? Preferably over $500. Can't talk. Preferably over $500. But if you only have budget knives, or if you only have one knife, comment below. Let me know what knives make you happy and why. And if you have a story about it, if you have a story and a tale and a reason why they bring you fucking joy, tell me. I want to hear it. I got knives that have stories to tell that make me happy that I just can't explain, right? Because the community, ooh, whiskey burp. Wow. I have knives that make me happy in ways that transcend just a mere tool. And I want to hear about your own personal stories. Now, as always, folks, I love you all. Please take care and bye-bye. That was fucking cheesy. Whatever. We're doing it. Bye-bye.